Synergy bonus. As usual, we have Thrict the Impaler.
Or destroy. Let's destroy everything.
The Spoony Paladin and Vigorax. And today we are going to be
talking probably about our favorite Megaman.
Oh, you sound like pages out of a self-help book.
Kafka.
Alright, once again taking a break from our usual beer and actually taking a break from our fandom of locally brewed stuff. Today we have Mohawk's ginger flavored brandy, which
it smells like ginger ale.
It tastes like really flat ginger ale that somebody has thrown a whole bunch of sugar into and
it's a ginger ale.
Honestly,
just a hint of furniture polish.
This almost tastes like it could go over ice cream.
Yeah.
Like it's syrupy.
It's syrupy, it's sweet, it's potent.
Not the greatest.
You could be having that.
This is what I imagine Mr. Clean's breath smells like.
A little more piney.
I was expecting you to say something else, but
whoa. On that note, to the Blue Bomber. Again, we're talking about Mega Man 2, subtitled The Mystery of Dr.Wily, at least in the Japanese version.
Mega Man's on his second outing.
They wisely decided to drop that second little bit. So it's for the NES and the Famicom. Produced again by Capcom.
Again, this is a time when Capcom just ruled gaming.
Original release date December 24th, 1988. Came out just in time for Christmas Eve in Japan. And then they waited until June of 89 to get it to us in America. So, thanks for that. It's a 2D action platformer like its predecessor. And it is the best-selling Mega Man title to date.
Do we have numbers?
Well, we have an approximation. Over 1.5 million copies sold at this time.
1.5 million?
Yeah. That's what I found. That's what I know.
For some reason, that just seems low.
I know. Well,
remember the market back then, and whether or not that's counting re-releases, digital releases.
That sounds like a low number to you.
Right. So.
That was actual physical cartridges.
Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But picks up a few months after the original Mega Man game leaves off, after Dr. Wily's gone to jail and so on. And
did he go to jail in the first one?
I think he went to jail at the end of the first one.
I don't know. The first one just kind of ends.
I think it was after 6 he went to jail because opening of number 7 was him.
He did go to jail in 6, and they made a big point of that. It's that he was finally brought to justice.
Anyhow, Mega Man had defeated the 6 robot masters from the last one that were all utility bots. And this time, Dr. Wily comes back with 8 new robots that are actually designed for combat this time.
To counter Mega Man.
Except for Woodman, who's made of wood.
So are most basic primitive weapons.
He's a shitty robot design.
I do like Woodman, though. I do. They actually used Woodman, again, in the Saturn version of Mega Man 8 as a special boss.
Yep.
They did the same with Cutman. And it was nice to see an updated sprite for him. So.
Oh, yeah.
Of all the Robot Masters, though, I mean, 2's had some of the most iconic looking ones. Metal Man is my boy from way back in the day.
Even to this day, Bubble Man looks kind of goony.
He looked like a doctor to me.
I look like a
with
scuba
a surgeon's
diver.
mask.
He's supposed to look like a scuba diver, but
Like
his bubble shoots out of the little funnel on his head.
At least he's not Toad Man.
Yeah. Oh.
If you combine Metal Man and Bubble Man, you would actually have Dr. Man because he's got the blade on there and the surgeon's mask.
There's a place to pick up where Dr. McNinja left off.
Or Doc Robot.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, stop. Correct. Just...
Anyhow. Visually, this game is a fair deal brighter and has a broader color palette than the previous game, largely because, cartridge technology had evolved a little bit. Mm-hmm. But also to kind of make it a little less grimdark than the first one. And because the game's directors, after the sort of anti-anime backlash in America for the first game, decided to double down and make it even more colorful and kid-friendly looking.
I think of Airman stage with the big air gremlins and just the clouds, and it's blue and the reds. It's very, very colorful. You got Bubble Man stage with the animated waterfall at the start for the Waterfall Institute. And even Metal Man stage, which is a dark stage. It's brown on green, but you've got the working gears and stuff in the back.
Brown and red and rust.
All of it works. All of it works so well.
Or just Woodman stage. You get in there and to replicate just walking in, like all the trees and the details on the leaves, but the riot of colors. The running Robo-Roosters are this bright red color. There's this whole palette on the gorilla things that
like Panthers.
Different game.
Oh, okay.
You think 5?
Yeah. But at the beginning, they've got those little blue robots hopping around, and there's the silver rabbits throughout. Just colors everywhere.
Even in
fantastic looking game.
And the way they use the bubble bats, the batantons, I mean, it's a very, very nice, well done stage. You do get an illusion of a forest, and it's really cool. And all the stages are like that, pretty much. This game, unlike the first game, the difficulty was scaled way, way back. It makes it a more playable,
the American version,
more playable experience, and it's got 2 difficulties modes. It's got your normal mode and your difficult mode,
or what they call normal mode in Japan. But above and beyond that, this is also the game that introduced the energy tanks, although the developer's supervisor thought that was a silly idea, that they shouldn't bother with it.
Honestly, I never used the energy tanks in number 2. It wasn't until 3, it's like, oh.
No, but this is where they're good.
Yeah.
And the items 1, 2, and 3 were also put in as an extension of the shelf-making weapon we referenced previously. But to make certain areas like the Black Puzzle and Heatman's level much easier and much more beatable.
Gives you a workaround.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a theme that they kept throughout the series after this one, I would have to
eventually culminating in the development of Rush.
And even with Rush, you can use them in areas that you're not supposed to in the later games. Sure. But going back to where they made this game easier, even on the difficult mode, enemies only take just a little more damage. They don't do a whole heck of a lot more to you. I'm thinking of these weird tin can stacked robots. In the normal mode, 1 shot will kill them. In the difficult mode, it takes 2. The first shot will make them split, and then they'll come back together, and then they'll do it again. Trev's always ragging on me for not using special weapons and whatnot. This game has the best special weapon ever, the Metal Blade. This weapon is energy efficient, and it kills everything. Almost everything. There's a few things
he doesn't
that
use special weapons. He doesn't use utility weapons. So, for example, you will never catch this guy using the lead bubble, lead bubble, in the darkened sections of Quickman stage to show him where the floor is.
Don't need to.
You don't need to because they didn't put any pits in this one for whatever reason.
No, they don't need to. The only thing about Quickman stage is the instant kill beams, and you use Time Stopper for that. You don't have
Time Stopper for that.
I don't need to use Time Stopper. I've not used Time Stopper, but Time Stopper makes it easier.
I'd rather save the Time Stopper to use it on Quickman. Thank you very much.
I don't use that on Quickman. It only takes me to Half-Life.
Still, that's Half-Life. I don't have to try to hit his bouncy little...
There is a flaw with the Time Stopper, though. Once you use it, it drains your entire energy, and you can't pause until it's done.
Can't turn it back
off.
No. But you can work around that. They actually plan for that. There's recharge stuff. Although going back to that Quickman stage, a lot of the recharge items are traps.
Yep. But Metal Blade, it is a one-stop shop. It mows down most enemies. There's a few bosses it doesn't work on. I'm thinking the Mecha Dragon.
Shoots all 8 directions.
It
is the single most energy efficient weapon in the series.
And when you revisit the Robot Masters at the end of the game, if you happen to use Metal Man's weapon against Metal Man, he dies instantly. It
just makes that really satisfying sound.
Yep. Yeah, the sounds in this game are great too. Like everything sounds like it should. Nothing sounds off.
Nope.
If there was ever a little complaint that carried over from number 1 to number 2, is that Mega Man has a slight ice skating. I noticed this the other day when I was playing the original one. When you stop with Mega Man, he does slide a little bit forward. It's not so bad in the second one, but it's still there, and they just kind of cut it out after that. I mean, there's no need for it.
The game does suffer heavily from other technological issues, at least early cartridges and so on. You got a lot of sprite flicker, you got a lot of slowdown in areas where there's a lot going on. Metal Man stage where you've got the crashing crushers coming down, little drills coming up and down.
Even
notorious for
even
this.
at the end of the game in Wily stage with the same
scenario,
same obstacles, it's a slowdown.
It's so notorious that a lot of the re-releases and ports and Anniversary Legacy editions have included a function where if you go into options, you can turn it back on.
Remove sprite flicker.
If the sprite flicker's been removed to begin with, you can turn it back on to get the authentic feel.
They've actually made that the default now, and you can turn it off. And I like that. And I've always figured, slowdown means I'm doing damage. Most games. Dynasty Warriors especially.
That or there's a lot of shit going on now.
Right. There's just more shit than the processor can handle.
Dynasty Warriors. Like we said, all the bosses are memorable. The music in this game is highly memorable.
Part of the reason the bosses are memorable is because as part of the outreach when they were developing this, they reached out to fans of the first game for robot master designs, and what did they say? They got almost like 3,800 submissions that they culled from, and they tweaked the final product a little bit. But
this was the first robot design contest, and Nintendo Power included these in further installments.
Issues,
yeah.
So it's cool. A long-standing tradition, and like Capcom, how can you say the fans are not interested or invested in these games when you can put out these contests and you'll still get thousands of robot master designs to this day?
Going back to what I was saying about the music, it's very memorable. It's catchy. All of it's very, very catchy. Unlike the first one where it's good, but it's not memorable. It's
catchy to the point where people are still doing covers
and remixes and whatnot, and it's glad to see it. And Dr.Wily Stage 1 probably has to be one of the most remixed game tracks in general.
Oh, yeah. Not to mention you can't beat Airman.
Can't beat Air. Oh, yeah, this game has spawned so much, so many things on the internet. You can't defeat Airman. That was very catchy, too.
Yeah. And for a long time, it was the thing that Capcom was doing as Capcom does. Okay, here's Mega Man 2, now here's Mega Man 2, the power battles, now here's Mega Man 2. They Street Fightered it for quite a while.
For a little bit there. And this has touched so many people. I mean, you've got artists like Dwayne and Brando covering the entire song with the story, we'll call it. It loosely follows it. You've got the Megas doing their own take on it, and it's great. The Proto Men.
Yep.
Proto Men not so much with the actual music, but they definitely were influenced by all of it together.
Oh yeah.
And they don't make games like this anymore. They really, really don't. This game has such a high replay value.
Well, a large part of that stems from because the original sales of Mega Man 1 were so poor, Capcom would only greenlight an immediate direct sequel if the team that was working on it only worked on it in their spare time, their free time between their actual assigned projects. So a bunch of 20 programmers and designers or so, 20 or so got together, and they were putting in these 20-hour work days to finish this product in 3 or 4 months they were given. And it shows that this is something they wanted to work on, that they enjoyed working on, that it was something that they believed in. And the end product speaks for itself. As we said, people still reference this and do things with it to this day.
I remember playing Mega Man 2 when it first came out in '89. I didn't have a regular Nintendo at the time. Both my cousins did. And Mega Man 2 had just come out, and I got a chance to play it, and I really... It resonated with me, and I'm like, when I get a Nintendo, this is a game I want. And I remember a few months later, we got a regular Nintendo, and I couldn't remember the name of the game. I'm like, what was this game? I remember there was a mad scientist. I remember all of this stuff.
Jump and shoot man.
It was not Jump and Shoot Man. But I probably did call it that. Like, I'm sure quite a few people called it that. But,
not to be confused with Jumpman.
Jumpman.
The Italian plumber.
I ended up finding a copy to rent at one of the local video stores at the time. I brought it home, and I'm like, this is the game. This is the game. And I'm like, this is the game I want. So I ended up buying it. When you're little, you don't really get money. So my parents gave me an allowance of like $2 every week and whatnot. So I saved enough to get the game.
It's a $50 game. That was a long time of savings.
It was a long time of savings. I think they did, put chip in and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But I remember playing this game to death and beating it, and then I cried. Because I was so sad it was over. And it's probably one of my fondest memories of the game is just being able to finish it. And
too young to understand replay value?
too young to understand replay value.
But it's not over. There's another difficulty setting.
And so when Mega Man 3 came out, I'm like, oh, this is good. And I still play him to this day.
And the rest is history.
It really is. I have to say Mega Man in particular too is something that's inspired me to be creative, and I'll take that with me forever. It's not a terribly long game,
even by the standards of the series.
It's very quick. You've got your 8 robot masters.
The game is quick, man.
And then we say there's 4 Wily stages, but they say different with 6 because you got 4 actual stages. You got the 8 robots again in Wily, and then you got the Wily fight at the end. So
which has a sort of a stage in and of itself, but it's
what the fuck? You're an alien?
Yeah. And then the cave leading up to it. I guess it's supposed to be that old traditional evil villain has a volcano base kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's this really off-putting stage because you warp in and then you fall for like 4 screens and you're just like, what the hell?
Well,
did the game glitch?
I really liked it because this is the first Mega Man that showed Wily's castle, and it's that skull castle, and it's so iconic.
Very iconic.
And the way it plays out is you've got the little map with the dots, and it shows you where you go. So I'm picturing, it's like, okay, this is the area, this is what I'm going to expect, and that was never what I expected, except for that last part, because when you get to the skull, that's when you're fighting the 8 robots in Wily. And then it pulls up another skull, the secret skull. And it's off in like the dirt and like the side of a mountain. And then, like you said, you teleport in and it's that. And the only sound that you get in there,
aside from Mega Man's usual sound effects,
is just acid drops.
Little plop when he's landing on the ground, the little shots that he chooses to fire. I don't think it's acid. I think it's supposed to be like lava or something because you're underground. But it makes this chiming noise, and if you stand where multiple ones are hitting, it's almost music.
That is the music to the stage, and it's done very, very well.
It's very subtle, and it's creepy as all get out when you're not expecting it.
And
I wouldn't be surprised to find out there was some infrasound thrown in there.
The game really does have a cinematic feel too, like the opening when it's getting a little narration at the beginning, and then it scrolls up this tall
slowly scrolls up the building, gets faster and faster,
and then there's Mega Man without his helmet, and then Mega Man 2, and
hair blowing in the wind on top of the skyscraper. Then you click start, the helmet zoops in, and he teleports off.
And even at the very end, when you open those final doors to fight Wily, his little saucer's there. He jumps out of it, and like his cape's flowing, and he transforms into the alien. It's like, what is happening here? Like
this is this is some Contra bullshit.
4-year-old Doug was like, oh my god! So, like I said, this game has a special place in my heart, and I will gush on it till the end of time. So,
the ending's a little anticlimactic, where he's just walking back, but can't have everything.
They recycled that in Mega Man 3 where he's running back.
Yeah. It actually became sort of that was a theme from the beginning. Like, if you beat the first one, like a lot of people haven't, he's running back to Dr. Wily lab. He's just in his street clothes.
He starts as Mega Man, then he runs back as the sun's setting, he becomes Rock again, and then Roll comes out with Dr. Wily. And this
Fight Mega Man for everlasting peace. This time you just see the laboratory off in the distance and his helmet abandoned in the field.
Mm-hmm. Which the laboratory, I believe, is in Texas.
Yeah.
Based on Mega Man's 8's world map that they have there, I believe it's actually located in Texas.
White Labs in Texas, yeah.
But
which explains why Dr. Light's first response to, there's stuff attacking, we should shoot it.
Doesn't explain his accent in the games at all. Go forward, Mega Man!
Elmer Fudd. Actually, this game had a couple issues with translations. Crash Man in the instruction manual is called Clash Man.
But Shahib don't like it.
And Dr. Light was called Dr. Right.
They both kind of work.
Yeah, but
do.
he's not helping you build SimCity.
Right with an R, not right with
Yeah,
a W.
Well, WR.
But even with all the little nitpicks about it, it doesn't take away from the game. It's a great experience. And the music will last forever. So that's all I've got to say about it. I don't know about you guys. Because I will gush on it till the end of
I
time.
was gonna say, like you already mentioned, for cons, you got the translation errors with the localization issues.
There's not a whole lot of cons. It's very
It's
very
a
well
fun-
done. It's a labor of love, like you were saying. They really wanted to make this game.
Yeah. It is still a reasonably difficult game for the time period.
It's got some tricky jumps.
Now you got the little bit of skating you mentioned.
No artificial difficulty
real
BS
artificial
stuff,
difficulty.
though.
Yeah.
No. Like if
Like
you
you
wanna-
have the little fall delay that we were referencing previously. That you
But
can-
that's not necessarily a bad thing. The
No,
fall
no.
delay can actually save you.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about artificial difficulty,
Oh, that
auto
stupid spike line shoot in the second to last, or in the Gutsdozer stage.
that's but that's not bad because you've got that little
If you
thing.
didn't have that, it would be unbeatable.
Not unbeatable, but just remembering where you need to be.
I always kind of wondered if there was a way to manage to get item 3 out on the wall and write it down.
Maybe. I'm actually thinking auto scroll. Auto scroll should never be in a Mega Man game.
The only place I can really think of it is in the dragon fight in the first.
That's the
last.
only place it is. And the only other time I've saw an auto scroll stage was Mega Man 8. So
It's for
Yeah, I was gonna say there's at least
Yeah.
one.
Jet
the
Stingray.
Jet Stingray
Jet
stage.
Stingray
Yeah.
stages.
So it's 8 and 4 X4 came out around the same time. So it was a good while before they did it.
Technically, Wave Man stage when you're on the jet ski.
Yeah.
has-
Yeah.
So it's technically auto scroll.
Yeah, but the Mecha Dragon's auto scroll is far worse because you've got your well placed jumps, and then all of a sudden the jumps close a little bit, and then the auto scroll starts, and the dragon comes up, and if the dragon touches you, you die, and it ends on 3 platforms, and the dragon's there to fight you, and it's pretty much a quick draw. Is the best way to describe
How
it.
fast can you mash that shoot button?
Right, because the dragon will hit you, and Trav and I were actually discussing this, that will take the hit and slide back onto the platform. Otherwise, that'll just knock you right
Much
off
better
trying
chance
to
of
dodge
surviving
it. So.
than trying to dodge it. Better chance still if you manage to figure out that you can use the quick boomerang to shoot faster. Because
Yep.
you just have to hold the button instead of mashing.
Yep. I think I actually used the atomic fire, because you can charge that. One of the first charging items. You have anything else to say about this?
Not really. I mean, without going into huge details, tracking down like who the composer and all that are, I think we've got it.
I did find out. I remember consciously looking this up after Greg mentioned that, maybe they fired the composer after
I
the
was
first
wrong.
Mega
It
Man.
was in fact a different composer.
Every Mega Man has a different composer, so not necessarily if they were fired, but each game is different.
They did bring back the composer from Mega Man 1 to help on the Airman medley, but that's all the influence he had on this particular game. And this guy, whose name eludes me at the moment, was
Someone's papa.
Yeah, that's how they credited him in the American version. Yeah. That's something that was interesting to me, is that they were so uncertain about the viability of this project that most of the people who worked on it are not credited as themselves. They have these weird little nicknames.
It became a running joke, too.
I remember seeing someone named Fishman in there,
Yep.
like you said, someone's papa. And
Yep.
So
Yukino's Papa.
you can't. I think that's what it was.
But yeah, I lost where that was going. So
That's
I guess we're done.
Yeah. Anything?
Nope.
All right. With that, have a good night.
Good night and good gaming.
Don't ask me. I'm on break.
He's
He's on a break, man.
too much.
Too much.
Too much.